Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Hello to everybody on your own screen. We welcome you and hope you have a pleasant time in the upcoming hour with our very charming and smiling guest, Christian Wettre, who we love to welcome for another time. And he was in the role he will talk about a bit later on, after he has done some studies in Oslo and the United States at Wharton School. Christian has started a career for a long time as an entrepreneur and founded his company W Systems. This is of importance because in that he showed a certain, let's say, empathy and emotion towards his customers, which gave him for a long time a very good reputation, such as that a long partner did acquire his organization. So when he was acquired by SugarCRM, he had then 3 roles in SugarCRM so far, and is a very knowledgeable chap in customer experience, in customer services, in everything in the products and what the human beings do, think, and expect. So it is easier for him to go in the experience and expectations of CX and the employee experience, and what a good organization would love to see. Now, Christian, I would like to hand over to you. And as you have a Norwegian name, Wettre, it is out of my curiosity, do you still carry both passports?
I do, Rolf. And first of all, thank you for being here. I think this is my third visit with you, and keep surprised.
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah, I keep surprised that you invite me back in again. I don't know why, but I'll do my best to continue to be invited. But yeah, I do hold 2 passports. I think about a year and a half ago, Norway, I'm a Norwegian citizen. I was born a Norwegian citizen. And about a year and a half ago, Norway allowed dual citizenship, to the best of my understanding. And that allowed me to apply for the U.S. citizenship as well here in the U.S., since I have deep roots here and have my business and my family and my sons are here. So I figured it's best to secure my position here as well and make sure I don't get kicked out at some point.
Well,
that's cool.
I'll try to. That's also a good part of the record.
Especially now that you're online.
That's right. Don't ask many tricky questions.
Well, a tricky question is coming up right now.
Okay.
What is a chief of staff? I have looked through the LinkedIn roles, or not the LinkedIn roles, but what you stated about yourself. And you are a very communicative chap. So we enjoyed the chit chats we had, and also when we meet you in flesh and blood live. So I'm a bit curious about that specific role.
Yeah, it is an interesting, it's kind of a new role in business.
Yeah.
Traditionally, it's been a military role or somewhat a government role. Typically, you'll see, the officer staff typically will have a chief of staff who's a big fixer and knows everything going on and can be relied on to fix things. In government, often there's a chief of staff who does similar things, kind of act on behalf of the leader or the organization, helps facilitate things, smooth things over. And in business, it's been increasingly popular to have a chief of staff, and it varies a little bit based on the person who's doing it, their skills and background. It could be a lot. It could be anything from an executive assistant to almost a chief operating officer, depending on the skills and interest of the organization and the person. So, to me, it's kind of a fun job because I get a lot of trust to do pretty much what I wish to do, as long as I am doing things that our CEO is thinking is important and our board and our organization is focused on. But technically, what I do is I work for the CEO. Our CEO is Craig Charlton, and my job is to make sure that the strategies that he is bringing to the organization is executed across our different departments. So, for instance, currently at Sugar, we are very focused on implementing an industry strategy, which we'll probably talk a little bit today. And my job is helping coordinate the execution of that strategy across all our different functional areas, from sales to services to product and marketing. I also serve as our executives leader of our customer outreach. So I run our top customer program and make sure that all our executives have personal involvement with our top customers, understand the good, the bad, and the ugly that's going on with our customers, and has personal accountability and can bring their personal insights and coordination ability to those customers. So as kind of a mid-market customer that Sugar is, we have probably a unique capability of engaging kind of peer-to-peer with our own mid-market customers, and we try to make sure that's a reality. So diverse role. And I focus on trying to do good, making sure we do more of the good stuff here at Sugar, and if I can spot bad stuff, try to stop it as fast as possible.
Good to hear. And a promising perspective. And this drives me to my prepared next question, such as, what are, by your experience, customers' expectations from today's CX CRM solutions? What is it? What they're looking for?
It's interesting. It's definitely changing. It's changing from as customers are going through their second and third and fourth rounds of CX and CRM deployments.
Very good point. Yeah.
The expectations are changing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think inside our mid-market, especially, we see a demand for faster time to value, to have simpler to manage systems that are sometimes less complex. In enterprises, enterprises will spend anything to make sure that they have enterprise-ready systems that are scalable and support large groups of organizations. But and mid-market companies often have many of the same needs, but they don't often have as deep pockets as the big enterprises.
True.
And so therefore, while they have many of the same needs, and if you were to put your engineering hats on and think about what you need, you maybe would come up with the same needs as enterprises, but ultimately they can't afford it. So they've come to realize that that's just too expensive to run, and they demand faster time to value. They need more advice and points of view on how to use the application from vendors like ourselves. Mm-hmm. We're seeing a shift in our customer expectations from when we go into a new engagement, a shift from the customer telling us what they want to a demand for us to tell them how to best use our applications, for us to understand the business objectives that they have, and for us to bring our point of view on how to best accomplish them using the tools, us being the experts on their tool, but also engaged enough in their business that we truly understand what they're trying to do with them, and that we can give our advice on what to do, and also our advice on what not to do. So we're shifting kind of, even in our own professional services, we're shifting our professional services from an attitude of, okay, so what would you like to do with our platform, to what are you trying to accomplish in your business? And this is our point of view on how to get that done. This is the best practices on how to use our tools. And I think we especially see that, you probably see it across the board from all the big platforms, CRM vendors, Salesforce, Microsoft, SAP, Sugar. We are so capable to be anything to anybody, especially probably Sugar as a legacy of open source. People could build anything with our platform. They still can, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily a great idea to do so. So, we have customers that are using Sugar as ERP applications, as telephone provisioning systems. By almost anything you can imagine can be built with these systems, and it can do a really good job with it. But as a CRM vendor, and over time we upgrade and introduce capabilities, we're finding the more diverse the systems, the harder they are to upgrade. So then customers are realizing that too. They want to stay more aligned with kind of a core CX vendor vision, And our job is to make sure the customer knows what that is, and that there's a path to accomplishing that.
Now, you said fast time to value, which is, well, coherent probably. We all hear the same, I guess. So this means that vendors are slowing down time to value or not speeding it up enough. What do you think are the top couple of things, the top three probably things that vendors can do to speed up time to value? What are the inhibitors?
Yeah, what slows down time to value are large, complex customization projects where you're building out new functionality that was never intended to be in the tool. Complex data integration projects where you're having bespoke integrations to many different systems and all the rules and regulations for data to transfer. Those can be complicated. And those are probably the two core things. Most things fall out of those two areas that slow things down. So when we look at how can we provide a different experience, we're looking at one, providing faster out-of-the-box integration. So probably the primary integration we deal with in CRM is ERP integrations. So our goal is to provide more out-of-the-box value, more blueprinted integrations with ERP, so that when somebody has an ERP system, or many of our customers have multiple ERP systems in countries around the world, how can we give them guidance on where they should integrate it to Sugar, so that they can then utilize value that we're delivering to them if they do that, rather than starting from a blank slate and starting to draw the dots between data points and thinking about what kind of data we need. Those can be very complex projects, and maybe they end up doing 100% of the needs, but they do it at 300% of the cost. Whereas if we could do out of the box integrations that sells 70 to 80% of the core needs from day one at a fraction of the cost, we feel we'll probably have ultimately done a good service to our customers.
How about the implementation projects then? So if they are, well, if the hack gets customized out of a system that can have a couple of root causes. The systems don't deliver the right thing. The companies, or well, executives in the companies insist on being different, or the consulting services don't really work, the professional services in general don't really work, the system's not delivering the right thing we already had. So what is it, a combination of all, and what would be the way out?
I think the focus is configuration first. We like to differentiate between configuration, which is things any user or administrator of a platform can do, versus customization, which needs a developer, right? So we try to take a configuration first, and I don't think you can be in CRM these days without having heard the concept of no code. I think especially some of our competitors like Creatio has done a great job of speaking about no code, right? But no code capabilities are in all these platforms. They're in Salesforce, they're in Sugar, they're in Microsoft, they're in Creatio largely, right? And by being focused on configuration means using those increasingly sophisticated no code capabilities. Like inside of Sugar, we have business process automation. We have what's called Sugar Automate that guides the user through processes. We have all kinds of automation and flexible user interfaces to create forms that can create these no-code environments. And then, so you have so much capability to configure the system to what you want, but you need to have a little bit of discipline too on both sides. Basically, hey, you know what, let's agree on sticking to configuration and not be tempted to solve for the last centimeter in the process by customization. And that requires discipline. It requires a strong point of view by the vendor, and also discipline by the customer. And that's the change we're seeing in the marketplace. The customers are getting more disciplined in insisting on configuration. Before we go to customization, make sure we've exhausted the configuration capabilities. let's make sure we consider the cost of customization beyond just the development cost of building it, which usually isn't that much. The cost of customization is the cost of maintenance. The cost of maintenance over years and years and years as people have these systems. So that's, that's probably the shift in marketplace that we're seeing most, and that we're meeting that demand by focusing on our configuration capabilities, focusing on our out-of-the-box ERP integrations, focusing on partnerships that with other vendors that expand our reach so that we can deliver functionality without customization.
And this ease of integration, how important is that in the up-to-date time becoming, or is it an already existing need which has been politely ignored or not made so easy to handle like customers do expect it?
I think the resistance to integration, everybody needs integration. You need to bring more value to your CX. You have so many different systems in an organization, and if you could bring what's in those systems to your end users, you're delivering value in that their primary interface, right? It makes user adoption easier. So the only thing traditionally that has stopped that is the cost of doing it, where it, you could easily do, if you're doing bespoke integration systems, you could easily approach six-figure portions of the project to do it properly. And if you don't do it properly, you have a high risk of failure because it's a fragile integration that takes a lot of maintenance or doesn't do the right thing for your users, and the users don't trust it, right? So to do it right is an expensive proposition. So our goal is to eliminate that expensive proposition, or reduce it as much as we can as a vendor by coming out with, here's out-of-the-box functionality. You have ERP system X, you have Epicor Kinetic, for instance. Here's our point of view on the best way to accomplish integration by basically purchasing it as a license instead of purchasing it as a service of configuring that. And then combining that with value out of the box, that not just do we have integration, but the integration has a purpose. It has a purpose because it fits into this platform. It fits into the salesperson's life, service people's life, the marketer's life, and is already has kind of blueprints for how it can become valuable.
Yeah.
So how do industry solutions fit into that whole scheme?
So industry, so we have an industry strategy. So that means basically increasingly we, as we mature as an organization, when we started as an open source platform, we were everything to everybody. And we can't be everything to everybody, but that's not what the market wants. The market wants us to have this point of view on how our systems are useful to them. So depending on who them are, the more knowledgeable we are about their industry and how to use our application for them, the collection of products and modules and how they work together, and giving that point of view on how it can be used, that is knowledge. And if we have industry knowledge, like say, for instance, our primary industry where we, more than anything, we are a manufacturing industry. 30% of our customers are in manufacturing and wholesale distributions, organizations that move products, make products, distribute products. That's about over 30% of our customers. So, so we have a lot of domain expertise by working with those customers. We've seen what works, what doesn't work. And our goal is to take a new customer and basically say, hey, this is what we've seen work in your way of doing business, in your way of managing a channel or running a sales team. These are the best ways to deploy our tools. And here are some accelerators to make that happen. Basically, pre-configured sets of fields and systems and ways of working inside of Sugar that eases the adoption of Sugar into that industry and gets that higher return on investment faster. So coming in as an industry expert. So for the industries, like for instance, manufacturing, especially industrial manufacturing is very big for us. Financial services, we do really well in credit unions. We come to, say, a credit union with a whole set of functionality that solves business cases for them. So say, for instance, common business case inside of credit unions or banks is, how do we make referrals of a customer or a member of a credit union between different departments? They are maybe in for financial advice, but they're looking for a mortgage loan. How do we make a referral, a handoff to the mortgage department easily? So that's a common business case.
Mhm.
So we come in with basically, this is how that's done inside of Sugar, and some pre-templated configurations to facilitate that business process.
Mhm.
And usually in an industry, there's not more than 10, 15 processes like that are very common, and where we have a chance of, from our experience, understanding what they are and coming into a customer. And here's 10, 15 use cases. You probably need about 4 or 5 of them. And by doing that and being able to deliver that quickly, we've generated a lot of value already in the relationship.
Talking about industry solutions, there is currently a similar term du jour, which is industry cloud. What the heck is the difference?
Nothing. Industry cloud, like I think probably
Okay.
premiered by our big cloud competitor, Salesforce. You know, they have their manufacturing cloud. They have
Thank
financial
you.
services cloud. But there is collections of some capabilities. Like, for instance, we talked about manufacturing. If you go to look at Salesforce Manufacturing Cloud, it's a mix of their digital experience, their service cloud, a couple of use cases such as like volume-based forecast management and activity tracking. Right? There's not that much there, but it's kind of a compilation of different packages. So they call that the manufacturing cloud. We might call it our industry solution, but they're basic. It's product marketing packaging.
Thanks for that one. I actually do think that the limitation to the word cloud diminishes the value of the concept.
Yeah, it maybe abstractizes too much.
Yeah.
And it's fair to say that every time you call something a blank cloud, you're giving a little bit of push to Salesforce because, well, their logo is a cloud. I think they were the first ones to call their products.
I hate to give them that much credit that they can own the clouds.
Oh, I don't think they can.
No, they don't own them, as they need the AWS and the Googles and the others to make it work.
Yeah.
But what is the more important perspective is, the more important aspect is, in my eyes, that there are a lot of customers which prefer to say so their own iron, their own still power of delivery and power of managing their data, having data sovereignty, and that does not come from step one with a cloud solution. They believe still, from my observation, that they are better off if they have a supplier, a vendor, who is playing both instruments, such as, when I would like to have it from a cloud, a secure one managed wheresoever, or a public cloud, that is a more suitable approach for him, or that he is getting his stuff out of his own data center.
Yeah, our customers have broad needs. They and CRM and CX is such a wide space with so many different vendors, and I think you've talked before about the hellscape of best of breeds, where it can get very tricky, where if you have 10, 15 vendors trying to deliver a technology stack for CX. But customers often go that way because they have a favorite particular application for maybe marketing automation or e-commerce, and they try to tie them all together, right? So that happens, but it's difficult to have many cooks in the kitchen and people pointing at each other and integration responsibilities. So we try to solve that problem by creating really strong partnerships. So one, we've always had an ecosystem. We have our Sugar Outfitters, where you have applications. We have about 300 applications that do integrations to systems, provide distinct benefits that don't come out of the package. But beyond that, we've also created strategic relationships with vendors that fill gaps in our own product portfolio. So for instance, we have customers who are service customers that perhaps need field service. We don't have a field service dedicated dispatching system in our portfolio. So we partnered with a really, really good one. And we've invested in integration with that product. We've combined our resources and both created a really good integration. And then Sugar will deliver it to the customer and take responsibility for the whole of it. So the general contractor, we become responsible for the CRM system that we are selling to our customer. We are famously one throat to choke if there's a problem, right? But they're basically one organization that takes responsibility, and we take the responsibility of coordinating with the vendors, and if there's issues, deal them for the customer. So our customers appreciate that. That's been very effective for us. So we have about 6 of those integration type of partnerships for field service, CPQ, digital experience, also for complex ETL, enterprise data integration solutions. We work with Magic, who does that. So those strategic partnerships are really strong for us, and the customer values that they can get access to a solution that might have been outside of Sugar's scope, but Sugar still takes responsibility for it and delivers that as a comprehensive solution.
Yeah, Sugar has a well-earned and well-deserved relationship for working very well with its partners to deliver solutions for customers. It's good to hear some of the detail on that.
Yeah, no, thank you. And then we take pride in that because partnerships are hard. Never mind domestic partnerships, but business partnerships. Business partnerships are hard. You often have an idea, like if you've been in business for a while, we've always been exposed to, hey, let's get together and work together and do a partnership on something. And most of the time they end up as nothing. There wasn't enough energy behind it, wasn't enough commitment, the people involved drifted away. So to have effective partnerships, even in larger organizations, you have to have champions. You have to have people that are very dedicated to it, that can bring a team. And we're lucky to have a really, really strong partnership team led by our founder, Clint Dorham, who basically is responsible for building out those relationships, not just signing the agreement, but doing sales enablement and support enablement and making sure we build something that sticks around for a long time.
Aside of the strategic partnerships, you can also be very proud of, just looking into the German-speaking region, that you have very professionally and long-term relationships with partners with certain sector expertise, which are, again, adding value for the end customer and the organizations which benefit then for their utilization in utilities, in media, in healthcare, and manufacturing as well, from experts in these sectors, even in a minimalized or even more depth view of how to go forward and deliver benefit.
Yeah, that's the promise of reseller partnerships, integration partnerships today, where nobody can scale a business to be the cloud for everything, right? We can't be the industry solution for every industry, but partnerships can, because they are at a scale where if they wanted to be the partner for title insurance, you could find a partner who has the capacity to become that industry expert, to deliver real value for customers in that. And where Sugar's role then is to make it easy for that partner to operate in that environment, right? So partnerships is I have a soft spot for partnerships. That's my entire career until Sugar has been with partnerships, and making life easier for partnerships to deliver quality products and support those products over time to their customers. That has to be our responsibility as a vendor to, like to the German organization, like Open in Germany, where I think we just had our chief technology officer was out there and participating with their customers, and you were there off. So that's critical to be able to scale an industry strategy beyond a core few that the vendor itself can effectively manage. I never see a day when we have an office park with a pod for 20 different industries. That's not sustainable. We can manage the larger part. We can do manufacturing, we can do financial services, but the micro niches and having the real domain experts that can make a difference there is often the domain of partners.
And what is your recipe? What is your secret sauce to make it happen so successfully?
Making it easier. So for instance, like as you configure a sugar system, so we don't intend to fork sugar into 5 different platforms. That's not likely to happen. But what we want to do is to make it easier to take all the tools that we provide as a vendor, to make it easier for our customer, for our own professional services, for our product team, for our partners, to build out the fast start collections of capabilities, and then make it easy to migrate and upgrade and support over time from that system. So that's what you'll see a lot from Sugar going on. We already have some of that capability inside, where we basically can template our industry solutions, we template our financial services solutions, but only have one version of Sugar. So we come out with Sugar 14 or Sugar 15. It's not going to be a version for each industry. It's going to be a core version, but also a version template for that industry that consolidates, the useful stuff in each and gets rid of the stuff that aren't as appropriate for that particular industry.
All right. How many of your partners started as customers? Because I'm thinking one of the reasons things work well in the partnership world is that they already know how things are under the hood with Sugar.
Yeah. Often a founder of a partner has worked in a certain industry. So for instance, you might have a founder that worked in a certain industry, maybe worked to deploy CRM type of functionality for that industry and became an expert through that. And then had an entrepreneurial bend and went out and said, hey, let's go out and do that. I think we see that either they have an industry background or they have a specific technology background. Some partners were maybe developers in PHP or in some Linux stack or something like that, but others were in a certain industry and learned how to deploy CRM effectively in that industry. If in order to be a partner, you have to have a specific value add, right? That's value-added resellers is kind of the term for partners often. So you have to have that value add. And that value add is either really, really deep technical expertise, very deep application expertise, deep industry expertise, or deep process expertise. Some partners are maybe experts at CPQ, configure, quote, price. That's what they do, or they're experts on marketing automation. And those are value add elements that you have. And typically a partnership will have 3-4 combinations of those value adds, industry, technology, application, to become a viable and useful partner.
Now, the fun part is that in this kind of, or this type of ecosystem, the partner has a short straw. So he's the, let's say, probably the weaker part of the partnership, in a sense that the vendor always has the ability and the right, admittedly, to say, okay, this is an area that seems to run particularly well. There are sort of a couple of partners doing this right now and are, well, being happy in that niche, in that area. This is running so good that we are doing that, which instantly creates a kind of a conflict with the vendor being kind of on the stronger side of the lever. How do you avoid this type of situations? It's not unheard of. So there's this company that is fairly known for behaving like that.
Yeah, I've experienced that myself. But you'd think that the vendor is very strong, but the partners are strong in that they're many, right? And if the vendor is going to have a channel strategy, an effective channel strategy, where they recruit and support and have actively participating partners, you have to have trust. You have to have trust and transparency, and you have to have a reputation for doing the right things. So that means, the partner has to be smart as well. The partner can't go after if they see a missing element, a major missing element in a CRM. Say for instance, a partner these days, even if they could, it probably wouldn't be a good idea to have the generative AI solution for a product, right? It wouldn't be to create the main generative AI solution for a competitor, because that's something a vendor like ourselves, we're definitely going to do it, right? We're delivering generative AI solutions. So you probably don't want to compete directly with us. You want to find some niche that's smaller, that is too small for the vendor to go after full force, right? Where you can have a sustainable business that, you have obstacles to competition, where you could have a good living, rely on your domain expertise. So it's a tricky thing. You have to be an honest, transparent, reliable vendor as a manufacturer, a developer of software, or your partners. Partners can leave in a heartbeat. They can move on and pick another software and move on to that very easily.
Now you used a very exciting term, which actually could flip the coin, this generative AI thingy, this craze.
Yeah, you stepped in it, man.
Yep.
We're going to talk about AI on this call.
Right into it. Right into it. If you're saying you're delivering generative AI solutions, I assume that you're building business solutions on top of somebody else's generative AI systems, or do you build your own systems, your own models?
Both. Yeah. So like five years ago, talk about Sugar specifically, we bought an AI company. So we bought an AI company that had machine learning type of AI experience and had experienced data scientists. And we used that to build out our own machine learning, our auto machine learning tools. So we've implemented structures inside of the Sugar platform for doing kind of the mathematical part of machine learning AI, the statistical part of doing things like predictions of leads are going to convert into opportunities, or opportunities are going to convert into sales. We've done sentiment analysis type of AI. So when it comes to the generative AI, you rely on the large language models that are super expensive to build, right? So we do rely on partnerships with generative AI companies, so like OpenAI, to do those things. But those are vendors, but there's lots of those vendors. OpenAI is a possible vendor. Amazon's a possible vendor. There's European versions of the same thing. There's Meta just came out with their open source models, where that large language model is changing very quickly. So the vendor relationships could be pretty fluid. But yeah, we have partnerships for that. So as a vendor, our strategy with the generative AI is to use our advantage, which is not building the large language models. Our advantage is that we have so much information. We hold so much information for our customers about their sales process, their customers. And if we can use all that information and apply the large language models in a secure and private way, and deliver large language model capabilities to our users with a blend of their own data and the public large language model data, that's something that only we can do.
Now that begs a couple of questions. So, secure and trusted environment. How to ensure this, apart by enforcing contracts that may or may not be enforceable, because one might not even know that the other party breaches it. They might not even know it. And the other part is, you are saying it's customer data, so specific data, company-specific data.
Yeah.
Other companies are choosing the way of using, a blend of industry data, means a bunch of customer data, and create ready-to-run, out-of-the-box models. So the same thing applies here. So fast time to value.
Yeah.
How to deal in this dilemma situation?
So our approach is we want to help our users make sense of their data. So, the way we see it is that CRM systems, CX systems in particular, generate so much information about customers, especially when we talk about integrating information from ERP systems and so many pieces of data. So the richness and volumes of the information is staggering inside the CRM system. And a mere mortal user, an agent on the telephone, a BDR talking to a customer, a service agent talking to somebody with a service case, their ability to navigate all that information about the customer and information provided to them, to do that in real time is almost impossible and could be incredibly stressful if you're going to do a real-time experience. So what we see our mission is to help that user by surfacing the data that exists in the CRM system, in our case, SugarCRM, surfacing that in a really digestible way so they can use it in real time as they're interacting with the customer for effect. So to do that, we have to be able to apply the data that's in the CRM system, the emails, the logged calls, the documents, everything needs to be applied to accomplish that. But to do it, we also have to answer the customer's questions about trust, privacy, for instance, right? So we secure private information. We took the time it required to build a security layer onto our generative AI service, where basically we filter all the data. We have a way of identifying what's private, either from public models or from specifically identified privacy fields and information and shit. And then we obfuscate that. We basically encrypt it. So we strip that out of the submissions to the AI model. So anything private is stripped out, and we still have enough context that we can get the interpretive data back and then decrypt it and show it to the user. So being able to explain how that works, show how it actually works, how we go into their data, grab the things that are relevant, encrypt the things that are private, get the usage of the large language model and apply that and show that in effect where we prove out the security points and the privacy points. That is a big part of how we can go to market to fulfill that strategy. That's Sugar strategy.
And how about this dilemma? Fast time to run means less training time for the model, which basically requires a pre-trained model, which basically requires consented, of course, usage of other customer data.
The LLM model is public. It's that's the
no. Well, I'm talking foundation models here, solving business solutions based upon business data.
We're not in our case. We're not contributing to the foundational models, so we're not adding our customers' data to the foundational models. We're specifically precluded from doing that. That's our customers do not want their CRM data added to the foundational models. So that stopped.
You're basically deliberately choosing a different way than, for example, SAP goes, or Salesforce, or even Zendesk, to name
I think some of them,
different prices.
Some of them have the same thing. They're interpreting the data that's in the systems as well. We're not building our own LLM in order to do that. We may do so in the future, but currently we're processing the data that's in Sugar, matching it to the LLM, applying the LLM, producing a result, and delivering that to our customers.
And customers, have their expectations become more sophisticated in regard to Gen AI?
These are first generation. These are we're all first generation users of generative AI, right? So we're all trying to figure it out, and the use
baby steps.
It's still very much, I want that thing.
Yeah, we want that thing. They want us to show them what we can do. Give them ideas on what they can do. Show them what's possible. I think people don't quite understand, including myself, don't understand the full extent of what's possible, and we're discovering that every day.
Continuing on that route, we are discovering it on the way, and AI models in particular need not only data but good data. This is a clear case of rubbish in, rubbish out, as we say in German. Well, literally translated here.
Literally.
How much, and it's also about changes and changing and adapting processes. It is about culture. It's a trust environment. It's an IT environment. So there are 5, 6, 7 dimensions that I could name right out of the bat. How mature are your customers at all for using this stuff?
First generation.
Reliably.
Yeah, like I said, we're all first generation. We're presenting views. Customers are excited by seeing the possibilities. Our job is to uncover possibilities, show those possibilities, adapt to our customers' responses to those possibilities. So as we show them things, they come to us and educate us about what. And so for this to be successful going forward, we have to be pretty nimble in applying the new technologies, showing it to our customers, learning what they actually need and respond to, and applying even ourselves here at Sugar. We're customer zero. We were the first customer that deployed our own customer. But some of the interesting things we're seeing is that if we look at traditional CRM and business applications, it's very organized around structured data, drop down, very discrete things. Free-form text is almost discouraged, right? Because it's hard to report on, you can't count it, right? So now that we are working with these large language models, the data inputs are different because suddenly email and the unstructured data is highly valued. So ideally, we would like to suck in every email, every call transcript, every document, and put it into CRM because we have these new tools for actually processing them quickly, right? So whereas, yes, it was useful to have emails in CRM before so somebody could look and read and find a particular email, but you couldn't use it for anything really systematically, maybe count how many there were. Now we have an opportunity to actually read what's in the emails together with what has been typed in by users. So there's a much richer, information environment for the LLM to apply what they're good at and for us to deliver value that just wasn't possible before, with the structured data we had.
The interesting part I wanted to dig in a bit is what a salesman is always seeing as a challenge is, where is my next deal coming up? Where are my low-hanging fruits? And before the Gen AI or before the artificial intelligence came around the corner, there were already prediction models existing. So how much smarter is AI towards the old prediction models?
Okay, now you walked into my world, my trap.
Well, I wanted to avoid that by going to the privacy road, but well, it's fair enough. It's fair enough to have a counter trap.
Well, so let's go back to the concept of ERP integrations, right? The ERP integration that customers can think are costly. We're trying to make them less costly, and we're trying to make them more valuable. So when we're bringing ERP information, for instance, into Sugar, we could bring in transactions, we can bring invoices, line item, purchase orders, and that might be interesting to some extent. But what we're really looking to do is to tell that salesperson what's going on, what's the story that our ERP system's telling you about this customer. That they're buying these product categories, but they're not buying these other product categories that other companies in the same industry are buying from us successfully, right? That, last year they used to buy this, but they've been steadily trending down on this product category. Is somebody out there, one of our competitors, trying to eat our lunch and take our customer away from us? If we can more effectively help the seller, as you said, Ralph, figure out how to make more money by not showing them lots and lots and lots of data, but interpret that data into sales campaigns and sales opportunities and approach them about this and make a suggestion about this and educate them about this category, that will help our customers grow and retain their customers for longer. And that is where we see our future in delivering value, delivering CRM value for ERP users, in processing the data, interpreting it, and turning it into revenue or service or marketing opportunities for our customers. Using AI, of course.
Of course.
Of course. Of course.
Naturally. What else could there be?
Well, we can use old, brute force and math and things like that. But the market demands AI, and anything that has a lot of data is a great platform for using these new AI tools or learning how they can possibly be of value.
Now we are back into now privacy is gone. now we are in two other traps, basically. You're saying a lot of data. Your customers are mainly mid-sized, or probably even lower to upper mid-sized in the majority.
Yeah, ranging from the high end of the SMB to the low end.
So they do not tend to have a heck of a lot of data. So, and as we already figured, we are all taking baby steps. So first generation, we might not be mature enough to really take advantage of technology.
Yeah.
So how do you, or when do you say to your customers, well, take it a step back, you are not there?
I think, especially with data, the OpenAI large language models are a little bit less sensitive to the quality of the data than structured data is. Structured data, you can make horrible mistakes by counting things the wrong way or providing an average that's skewed or something like that. OpenAI type of generative AI type approaches are a little bit more loose. They have a larger set of data to compare against. But data governance is still important, controlling what goes into these systems, being realistic about understanding the dynamics of the needs of the sales force, and the marketing folks, and the service folks, and the frailties of humans, right? Like the gaps in humans that humans just won't do, no matter what you set as a rule. Right? Being realistic about those data governance processes is something. When we go to our customers and talk about what is Sugar's point of view, our point of view is you have to be realistic about that. Look at what is your capacity, what is your, what economics do you have, what standards do you want to enforce, and do something that's realistic and sustainable over time, where you might know that we're not perfect, that, that we're only 80% perfect and 20%. And thus, when we do AI and modeling and reporting on the data, that we account for that in the decision-making process, knowing our own frailties, what extent have we invested in the data, why did we invest in the data, where did we invest in the data, and prioritize our resources.
Okay. Now Ralph maybe wants to come back to privacy.
Sure you do.
now that I overruled him for a second.
Well, it's a worthwhile question.
The aspect is we have the GDPR and we have the non-yet really existing justified framework of an AO, Artificial Intelligence Act, and similarities. So what is your perspective and your point of view how to deliver here something trustworthy and secure?
Yeah. You're probably reaching the limits of my understanding of product management. So I'll be going out of my lane.
Finally,
There was the trap, bad boy.
You probably have to get Zach Sprackett or Paul Farrell in our product organization to talk about that. To me, Sugar's responsibility is to comply with the law, and to help our customers comply with the law. Right? That's our basic principle, and so that's a mutual responsibility. But we, when GDPR came out, we were among the first that built GDPR authentication processes into the CRM application. So today, privacy is built into our application by our customers being able to identify in their legal environment what is private information, and how do customers reach out to those companies to say, hey, I want to find out what private information do you have on me, and I wish for you to delete it. We have the processes for documenting that question, that inquiry, and we have the processes for somebody to execute the deletion of the privacy information. That's core in a Sugar system today, and that's been there for over 6-7 years since GDPR was a twinkle in somebody's eye. So we take that seriously, but it comes back to, again, we want to comply with the law. Our customers want to comply with the law. We work together to make that a reality. And the law changes continuously.
Yeah, that's the fun part of it, right?
And then we have law. We have privacy laws in China. Right? We have certain very stringent privacy laws in China, and we have customers that operate in China, and we help them comply with the law and provide the flexible platform that can provide the law in China. We're not, we don't provide legal advice, but when our customers, which we do expect to seek legal advice, when they find out what to do, we work with them to solve the privacy problems that exist in their environment.
They also have often data residency regulations, means probably in different branches of the same company, they need different models, differently trained models.
For sure. Yeah, in global companies where you operate in Germany, in China, in United States, in Canada, and California, you have different rules that apply on the same data, and you have to solve residency problems. And our customers solve those every day. And we cooperate with them.
From an AI,
California is its own country now.
It's always been its own country.
From an AI perspective, I imagine that is quite challenging because, well, by definition, those systems are quite unpredictable from the outcome point of view.
Yeah.
And if you then, on top of that, train the systems differently, you can hardly expect the same or at least a similar outcome.
Yeah, and it exposes everybody. Like I think we've all probably used generative AI to experiment with things and seen some shocking things, right? Like I remember I was creating an illustration for a meeting, and I wanted to have a group of people, and they all turned out to be white men, right?
Shocking.
And that's what I said to AI. It's like, I can make this a little bit more diverse.
Hey,
Look, added some women.
Look into this webcast. Look at this webcast. What do you see?
If I were any whiter, I'd be transparent.
But anyway, there's surprising things that we have to have a layer of conservativeness and on both the customer side and the vendor side, and balancing the needs of the market for moving quickly to get out there.
Yeah. Looking at the process of time, I got a probably fairly open-ended, famous last words question. So we talked a lot of the challenges and difficulties of AI/generative AI, plus some scenarios, plus low-hanging fruits. And this all says that the real value still lies somewhere else. So from your perspective, using AI technologies, what would be a couple of very high value scenarios for customers in different industries, maybe in just one industry?
Yeah. So to me, like what I particularly care about is that whole information environment. Like if we take one of our global manufacturers and say I have a chief sales officer who's based in, say, Chicago, traveling to Stockholm to meet with a Swedish team. And they want to go and visit a customer, and they want to quickly see what's going on, where the buying centers, where the opportunities, where the problems, where the good things. How do we quickly see that in a CRM environment that has maybe hundreds of accounts and contacts and opportunities and cases for that record? How do you quickly make sense of that in like real time, where you prepare for a meeting and in 30 minutes you fully understand the important things about the customer? I see an opportunity to solve that, and that's what we're working on here at Sugar, solving that problem. It's key.
Okay, away from the salesperson, probably more towards a marketer or a service person.
Start with the salesperson. We have to satisfy the salesperson. The salesperson, anybody who has direct customer contact and needs real-time access to complex information, real-time customer contact, we need to help those people navigate that information and make their job less stressful, not more stressful.
That sounds like the perfect conclusion. Let the system work for you.
That's the plan.
Nah, I hate that one. Sorry.
Well,
anyway, so this
it's a work in progress.
Yep, it is a work in progress. Yeah. So guess what? We've reached the top of the hour.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
We are too fast again.
There's so much to talk about. We could talk about these things.
Well, there's always a place for you here. Christian. It's
I
great to
appreciate
talk
it.
to you as always.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you for
we
your.
appreciate you guys. You do a lot for SugarCRM, and we do appreciate it.
We are pleased.
Yeah.
Now, to our audience, thank you very much for joining us. To our audience who will be watching the clips of this show, hi, how are you? Yeah. Tune in next week when we will be diving into SMB priorities and technology trends for the coming year that we're already a quarter of the way through with our friend and guest Lori McCabe of SMB Group. We hope you'll join us then. Until then, stay safe and keep looking up.
Bye, guys.
Come back.
Okay.
Bye.
Cheers.
I will be back.